So,
Okay.
so Shri, I was wondering if we might do something a little different today at the beginning. I have my laptop set up to show people how to download the updates to their software. And I was wondering if
Perfect.
maybe I could show that to people and then we can answer questions afterwards because it's a fairly quick process. But I
Good
thought I would
idea.
show that and show where everything was, if
Yeah,
everybody's
yeah.
okay with that, unless they have pressing questions right at the moment. Does anyone have any particular questions, or can I go ahead and start with the?
Well, that was one of my questions. So yeah, so let us see it. If it only takes 5 minutes, that's okay, right? Let's go ahead.
I have a question afterwards.
Okay,
Sure.
great. All
Yeah.
right, Lisa, sure. So let me go over to my computer and I'll share my screen there and we'll get started. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here.
You are on the Spooky2 share, right?
We're on the Spooky2 share, right? Okay. So that should show up here. What I'm going to
Yeah.
do is initially when you do any type of updates to your software, go to your Spooky2 software and pause everything. So give this a moment to click up there. Okay. So what you do is you go up to global and you want to click on pause. And what that will do, before I do this, I'm going to go to the control panel so you can see what it does. You
Yeah,
notice that
I don't see what you are.
Oh, don't see what I'm doing. Hang on just
Yeah,
a
I see
second.
COVID-19 presets, Microgen software, Microgen.
Okay, hang on a second. I'm not sure why it's not sharing the screen. Hang on a second. Let me stop.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
it's
have
sharing.
to.
I have to share it. Hang on. I'm thinking I'm sharing the wrong screen.
Yeah, you have to share the whole thing.
I need to share the whole thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So there we go. Is that showing up?
Yes. Now we see
There
the
we go.
Spooky2
All right.
screen.
I
Yes.
apologize. Yeah, my
Okay.
bad. I clicked on the wrong screen because it's connecting to the other one. Okay.
Right.
So we're on the control screen here. And as you can
Right.
see, this generator is not working, but these is not on right at the moment. It's not running a program, but these two are. So
Right.
I want these two to pause. So I'm going to go up to global and I'm going to hit pause. And that will turn all of these yellow. Now, the nice thing about hitting pause is that I can go over here and I can shut down the entire Spooky2 software, which you need to do before you update any of the software. You need to shut the software down. That is my understanding because I have done it when the software is up before and it has caused some issues. So we're going to shut the Spooky2 down and going to say yes. And it's going to shut down the Spooky2 software. What you do with the pause is that it's going to save your place where you were running in those programs. When you bring the Spooky2 software back up and you hit unpause, it will start up the generators exactly where you left them off. So we are going to this page here. This is the cancerclinic.co.nz/downloads. This is the page that you will go to for the most recent data, databases, patches, software. They do a full-blown software, full software release approximately every 6 months to a year that you will see on the regular Spooky2 software page. This page is where you will find all of the different patches and different things that you can get that are the latest versions that you can update your software with. I just did a COVID-19 presets version. This one is January 27th, 2022. So it is a very recent COVID presets. So it tells you on average a new strain of COVID-19 is discovered every 2 weeks. These presets contain the information for all COVID-19 strains currently circulating. So if you just want to update your COVID-19 presets, you would do that. What I'm going to do is I am going to go down and update my DNA database because I haven't done the main database uploaded. So this one, oh, actually, no, the DNA database right here, not the main database, the DNA database version. This one is 127/2022. So this has also the latest COVID-19 frequencies, and it will download and run this installer to update your DNA databases to the most recent version. So it will update all of the DNA databases. So what you do, all you do is you click on this, click on DNA databases, and down here, it's going to come up with the DNA database exe. And so you want to hit that little arrow that's down there and just hit open. And it is going to bring up the installer for those databases. So do you want this app to make changes to your device? And so you say yes. And so now all of a sudden it has the quick setup installation suite for those particular files. It's going to do your language selection, which is English, or whichever one you prefer. You say, okay. And once it has done that, it'll bring up another box here in a minute with the database update. So this is the setup program. You will just click on next, and then it will put it into the Spooky2 folder that you have on that it installed on your C drive when you first installed the Spooky2 software. So we'll click next on there. And then it goes through all of the uploading process to upload. And that is all that is. And you click finish. And that is your DNA databases have been updated. So then we will just go back to Spooky2 and get it started again. And as everyone knows, it takes a little bit of time to get the Spooky2 started. But when you go inside there, it will have some new presets in their new DNA database. And I'm going to go back through because I noticed there's a lot of new ones that came out. If you look at the dates on this downloads page, there's quite a few. There's new presets that have come out in January of 2022. The main database was, no, I keep going back to the new database, but if you look, there's different ones in there, experimental presets. Let's see whichever ones are in there, but you look for the dates basically to see which ones are the newer ones, and you can update your software without doing a full install. One of the things that I did want to show you is where to find Spooky2 in your C drive. So when you've downloaded the software and you have your local disk on here. And did someone have a question?
No, not everybody. I suspect not everybody's muted. I think that's what it is.
Okay, got it. All right. And so you find it in the local disk and you just scroll down until you find the actual Spooky2 folder. When it's installed on your computer, it will create a Spooky2 folder in your C drive. When you go down into the Spooky2 folder, you will notice all of these things in here, and some of this gets overwhelming, but what you do want to look at is your preset collections, because what you can do with your preset collections, you'll notice this is what's under the little house on your software. You have the biofeedback, cancer, COVID-19, detox, DNA, all of those things that are in there. I'm going to go down to user, because this is where your software preset programs that you make is stored. I have set up different folders inside of my user. A lot of people will just put them underneath user, but I set up folders underneath there so I could remember which ones are remote programs, which ones are laser. But once you go into your user folder, you will see all of the preset programs that you have made. I mention this because these text files can be shared to other people. You can save these as a text file and then email these to other people. If you've made a program that works really well for something, you can take these text files, save them, and then send them to someone else. All they have to do is save that text file inside their user folder, and then Spooky2 will be able to use that preset just like you made it yourself. So you can send it to other people and share your programs. If if other people say, hey, you made this program that I really, you said works so great. Can you send it to me? Yes, you can. You can send it as a text file in an email to someone, and then just save it in your user folder, and it will run just like any other program that you've created.
Right. So Louise, so the user, the preset that I have generated in the user folder, so when I update the software, they will remain intact, right? They will not be affected.
They will not be affected. You do need to look sometimes, and when you look at those databases really quick, let me bring that back up. It will tell you does not contain any databases or presets. So this patch is just a patch to help update the software that runs. Some of them in here will tell you exactly if it is does not alter your, well, that's microgen things. Historical biofeedback scans and user created presets will not be deleted. So it updates the software, but it keeps all of your presets and your programs and your biofeedback scans. So those will not be deleted when you run, when you do these updates. Now, if you were to completely wipe out your software and reinstall it, say you're having lots and lots of issues for whatever reason, Spooky is not running like it's supposed to, and you decide to do an uninstall and a reinstall of the software, you will need to back up your presets. Like I showed you before that they come in text files. You would need to save these folders and then put them back in if you ever do a complete uninstall and reinstall. But that's not something that you typically have to do. Usually all you have to do is do a patch or just do an update of the software from the software page. When they come out, it's set so that you keep all of your biofeedback scans and your presets.
Right. So the only thing that really you should be looking at is the DNA database update rather than the main database.
Now, like when I did the COVID-19 presets, they're still under the same names, but they have just added new frequencies to the programs. So sometimes you won't see changes. Other times, like when I did an update in September of last year, I saw a lot of new programs that got added in to the Spooky2 software.
Okay.
So does anyone have any questions so far about how to update your software?
Yeah, I guess it's pretty straightforward, I think.
It's pretty straightforward, yeah. And so Spooky2 is still loading. So, but I
have a question.
Yes, Lainey.
I've never done this before. I've just installed the program. I've never done it. I just installed the program in April, and I never installed anything else. So that April was the last installation. Is there one general for everything, or is it just these individual ones?
If you go to, let me put this in here because I Spooky2 downloads. If you go to their downloads page and you go down, you don't want the full package because the full package does it can overwrite things. But if you want to update the full installer, you can do, this is the September 17th one. So you have an April one.
Right.
So you can do the September 17th one on there and do an update on the install, or you can come over to this page. I have something popping up here. You can come over to this page and do well, this one's, and do the full installer here, which is one for the January one. I don't know if I'm going to be doing the full installer on for this one yet, just because I've been hearing some things that there are a couple of bugs for the Generator X in this particular installer that they haven't come out with. Usually what happens is that they release this software version of this one here on this cancer clinic page. Then when they get all of the bugs and everything worked out, they will update it on the main page as the installer. So if you want to, on the software full installer for the September 17th one, you could update. If yours is from April, you could do an update from this one right here.
And this
Okay.
will also not impact any of the user-generated presets, right? If you do it from here.
I don't believe so. It's the same way as this one right here. The biofeedback scans and the user-created presets will not be deleted. They will still be in there. It will overwrite your previous installation of the Spooky2 that you installed, but it will keep your biofeedback scans in your presets.
Okay, good.
Because every time that the software gets installed, it essentially leaves the biofeedback scan folder and the user folder untouched. It won't go in and overwrite any of those. Those folders have been excluded in the software update.
So so then if I installed the September 17th one, would I on this page from the spooky2.com download page, and then after I did that, and I went back to the other one from the cancer clinic, can you go back to that? And then would the first one that I did, the main one from September 17th, have all the upgrades of the COVID and the DNA, or do I have to add that to it?
You might want to add those to it. It will only have the COVID presets and everything that they had as of September
Okay.
17th.
Okay, I see.
So if you wanted the latest COVID presets, you would need to download this.
Okay. And then the latest
And then if you wanted to,
DNA database.
yeah, the DNA database, you could update that as well. You may not have to. I've done the COVID-19 presets, but the DNA database will have the latest. Yeah, you would probably want to do both now that I think about it. I guess maybe, is there somebody who isn't muted? Because I'm hearing somebody else talking in my head. So maybe in my headsets. Okay, there we go. So the DNA database version is just the COVID-19 frequencies that you would look up if you were looking up for the I think that's under the DNA folder that is in there. And the COVID-19 presets are the ones that are programs that are already preset up for you. So I think you would still need to do both of those.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, I will go ahead and stop sharing here.
I think Lisa had a question, right?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, Lisa, did I miss? Oh, you had a question after this was done. Got it.
Yes, I have a question about the PEMF. I got the PEMF for my 16-year-old dog who has arthritis and also some liver stuff. And I noticed there was a coil liver setting, but so I just set it up on the booster. There are 4 places at the top to attach it, and I set it up on the second one from the left, which I think is the high frequency one on the booster.
On the booster. So you're setting up, are you setting up the coil or are you setting
coil.
up the coil? Yeah, that is, I believe that is where you need to put that, is on the high frequency one. You can see, I think it's in the quick start guide for setting up.
No, it isn't. I have the quick start guide, but it doesn't really show a picture of where the high frequency is. And I'm pretty sure it's the.
Oh yeah, it's the second
second one
one.
on the
Yeah, it's the
top.
second one on the top is a high frequency, is the
Okay,
high
so
frequency
then I
port.
set it up and then I went to the presets and I found the spooky coil preset JW and double clicked on it. But then at that point, like I'm lost. I don't know where. If I go to control, I don't see it there. And if I click on overwrite generator and then click on the little box, it doesn't show up. So somehow it's down in the preset box. There's two boxes in the bottom. It's in
Right.
the preset box on the right. It's not on the one in the left.
Okay. Sometimes you have to, and you clicked on the program itself to bring that in there. Is there, are you, and your computer isn't hooked up to, the internet, right? So we could see the screen to
It's
try
not
to.
hooked up to the internet. No.
Okay, let me see if I can share my screen and you can walk me through to where you're looking and what you're doing. And then we can see if we can figure out what's going on. Does that sound okay?
Mhm.
Okay, so let me get to my Spooky2. And so you were setting up,
Spooky2 coil. So I couldn't find it. And the only way I found it is to go in the search at the top.
okay,
I put in Spooky2 coil.
okay.
And then click the search button. And on the right, the little that.
Yeah, and so I did that, but I am not seeing any coil programs
Put
coming
a
up.
space between spooky and 2.
Oh, okay. I wonder if we could just put in coil and have something come up. Let me try that because it's not doing anything on mine. It could be also, okay, so
If
you have
do
all these,
coil, yeah, a lot of stuff comes up with the coil,
right.
which is fine. I could do any of those, like the liver coil, but I just wanted to do the one that's called Spooky2 coil,
Okay,
which is, maybe it's down at the bottom.
let's see what we have.
It's
Spooky2
not.
coil
Oh,
direct.
here it is.
Okay,
That's it.
generator direct. Okay,
That's it.
that may be what the issue is that you're having. It's heading directly to the generator. If you read over here, it says do not use with spooky plasma. Connect spooky coil directly to the generator.
The generator.
To the generator.
Oh, it
Yeah,
is?
so
Oh,
that's
it's connected to the boost.
it's connected to the boost, not the generator. So you have to have it connected directly to the generator on the out one port of the generator.
The one point. Okay.
Yeah, so the side marked BN should be placed against your skin. So in this case, it is a generator direct frequency, whereas the other coil frequencies are set to run through your boost.
Mhm.
This one is not. This one is set to be
Generator direct.
directly from the from the
That makes
generator.
sense. So the other ones I can run, if I run it through my computer, it should show up then.
Yes,
under
it should.
control.
Yeah,
Okay.
you shouldn't have any problems. So that's the reason why it's the same way, like when you do a biofeedback scan, you want to be connected directly to the
Right.
generator as opposed to directed through the boost, because something happens to mess up the signal for those that are designed to be generator direct.
Okay. That makes sense. That's where I went wrong with that. Okay. Well, I'll try it again later and then come back next week and let you know how it went.
Oh, great. Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, so anybody else? Any questions, any comments, any experience to share?
Hey, this is Renee. And I bought the Spooky2, oh gosh, it's been about a year ago. And I was able to download the software and do a few detoxes. And I, other than that, I haven't been able to, actually, I haven't had a whole lot of time to devote mental energy to it to figure out some of this stuff. But besides, besides the detoxes, where would you, and I have the Schumann running all the time. I've got a Gen X. Where would you suggest I go? I tried to do a biofeedback and I was just not very successful.
Okay. What do you have specific things that you're trying to address, specific health issues that you're trying to address, or are you trying to just have general health and well-being?
I was diagnosed with Lyme disease, but it's not as horrible as a lot of other people have it. But it's enough to interfere with my daily routine.
So my suggestion to you, you said that you ran the terrain programs, correct? At the beginning?
Yes.
Okay. My suggestion to you would be to run the Morgellons and Lyme protocol that they have set up in the software, because that it starts out with the terrain program, and then the Morgellons and Lyme programs that they have set up. They have an entire protocol. You can go on to, I think they have a zip file for under resources in the Spooky2 main page that has basically how to run through all of it. And so what the Morgellons and Lyme protocol does is that it's primarily, you could do contact, but you could do it all in remote. But it starts out with the smallest types of, energetic frequencies that your body needs, the smallest adjustments, and works up to the largest. So it goes through killing things and also supporting your system through all of through the frequencies. But by going from smallest to largest, it will set it up so that your body is not overloaded with toxins and die-off. And it's specifically set up for those people who have Lyme disease. Whether you have a bad case of, have it, you're suffering from all kinds of different neurological issues and other things, or if you have a mild case, it's still a really good place to start. And the nice thing about it is that once you get it basically started and going, you really don't have to do much. It's kind of along the lines of the terrain. So you do need to pay. I haven't gone through all of it yet. I haven't run through the Morgellons and Lyme program. I've just looked through it. So I haven't actually ran it, but that would be my suggestion for you. There is also a Spooky2 Facebook page that is specific for Lyme and Morgellons, and walking people through that. On the Facebook page, underneath the area where, on how Facebook has different things on the top, they have all those documents and stuff. There's a ton of documents and how to go step by step through that to make it simple for people, because a lot of people who have Lyme disease has a lot of brain fog, and it's difficult for them to follow certain steps. And so they have it all lined up for you.
Okay, that would be great. Also, I have a friend with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I was looking at possibly getting a Spooky for her. I think Gen X is the most that I could possibly afford. Do you have any suggestions?
Anytime that you're dealing with any type of cancer, pretty much the standard suggestion for everybody is to always start with the terrain program, with the exception of certain cancers, depending on how compromised a person's immune system is. It depends on how much their body is going to, you know, like, I'll give an example. My father-in-law went through a quintuple bypass surgery about 3 weeks ago. I would not recommend that somebody right after surgery would go through the terrain program, because their body is trying to heal and if you go through the terrain program and start dumping toxins into their body, you're going to compromise the healing process. When it comes to cancers, sometimes they will recommend, instead of doing the terrain program, they will actually recommend doing the Morgellons and Lyme program, because it starts out at the smallest and goes towards the biggest to clear things out. So you would have to discuss this with your friend and find out where they are at with their health. And you could start out with the terrain program and run them through the terrain program, and they may turn out to be fine and help alleviate some of their symptoms before you go on to other programs that are specific for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Or you could, if they're struggling, or you start the terrain program and they start struggling, you could switch to the Morgellons and Lyme program, which is a detox program too. But again, it's a slower ramp up. It has, it kills the smaller things up to the larger things. And you can go through that as a beginning for cancer as well. I know of some people who run concurrently, the healing. If there's a generator X, there's a healing program for whatever cancers they have, as well as running the detox programs at the same time. So there's a lot of options, but those are the things to consider.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you can always, when you're running the terrain program, you're likely to get some healing reaction, because I'm running a second time and I've had headache twice. The headache starts building up. So then I have to go and pause the program for a little while so it can subside, and then I resume it. So you can see these symptoms happening during the program when the body is detoxing.
It's been a while since I ran the terrain program, but I did run it a few times. Would you suggest that I run the terrain program before I do the Morgellons program, or run them concurrently, or just forget about it?
I would not run them concurrently, because they're both detox programs and it could overwhelm your system. I tend to always recommend, with few exceptions, like I said, I tend to recommend doing the terrain program first before doing the Morgellons Lyme, and that's what Spooky2 recommends as well, is doing that. So if it's been a while since you've done the terrain program, I usually recommend doing the terrain program 3 or 4 times a year, at least, to continuously detox your body. But with the terrain program, it will kind of prime your body for the Morgellons program. So yeah, doing the terrain would probably be in your best interest first.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Any questions? I see Cassie's here. Cassie, how's your system progressing? You're muted, Cassie. You there? Oh, yeah, I know.
There I am. Okay, I'm here.
Yeah, how is it? You got the system quite some time back, right? 4 or 5
I
months
did.
back.
I got it like last November, and quite honestly, I haven't been sick since I plugged it in. I've been running immunity for me and my boyfriend and my 11-year-old, and I've been keeping it. I just actually brought it back home to the boat, and now I feel like I'm starting from square one, because now I can't find the program.
Oh, okay. So, and have you done a search, and you've done a search for the immunity one that you were running?
I'm looking for it now. I mean, I really like the fact that I got the Generator X. And normally what I do is I leave it in my office. So I don't have to, plug the computer in, and it just keeps running and running and running. And now I've got it attached to my computer and I can't find anything.
So is it just a refresher course of how to find programs is what you need?
Pretty much. I mean, I think I'm copying files now. And I just need, okay, so, all right, so I'm launching the program file, so it should be okay, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, it's just, I honestly, with the holidays and my oldest son was here, and honestly, I plugged it in and forgot all about it. It was great.
Exit Spooky and install the generator.
Okay, so now we're back to exiting and installing drivers.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So now I forget, do we say yes or no?
Yes. If they don't have the drivers, if they're not seeing the
Yeah.
drivers, then you want to say yes.
yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, that should be okay. But yeah, like I said, I haven't been sick since I plugged this thing in after the terrain and did the immunity, and it's been awesome.
Well, I'm so glad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I love that you're available. I really do. It's very, very helpful. So
Yes, very helpful. I'm glad to find you.
Yeah.
I appreciate your help.
All right. Well, just let us know if things, if you have any issues or whatever, let us know, and we'll see what we can do to get you up and running again.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I have another question.
Yes, Renee.
I bought two, actually one of my clients, I'm a massage therapist, and one of my clients bought a Generator X, but I've been running both of us on my Gen X. I haven't hooked the other Gen X up yet. So I want to hook that up, and I can hook it to my computer with the same software, correct?
I believe so. Yes. If you have, yes, if you're talking about if you have two Generator X's and you want to, yes, you can run them at the same time.
Okay, I can run whatever I want to with that same software, correct?
Yes, correct. As long as the software sees those generators, I believe the software will hold up to something like, gosh, it's like 32 or more generators that you can have hooked up to that thing. You can have an auxiliary USB port that you can plug in so that you can plug in a whole bunch of different XM and Generator X's and centrals and plasma and all of that stuff. Although it has been, I think I've mentioned that before, that I've read somewhere that you don't want to have your plasma near your XM or Generator X's when it's running, because the frequencies are so powerful. I think it plays haywire with the other generators.
Okay. So do you have a separate, I don't have a plasma, but curiously, do you have a separate separate computer for your plasma?
I don't have a plasma as of yet. There's I don't even have a Spooky Central. I just have the XM generator and the Generator X that I have been using. I've done a lot of study on the properties of those, and eventually I will be getting some of them. But if I were to have a Spooky2 plasma, I would have it separate. I would have it set up on a separate laptop and set up to be run in another area from the generators.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you remember, Louise, we were talking about quantum entanglement last time, and we were wondering, what does it really mean? So I did some research. I think I understand it a little bit better, what it means. And maybe I can say a couple of words.
Absolutely.
So normally you see when you have, look at the cell phone. So there's a tower, which has a big antenna, and it radiates energy. And then you have a cell phone, which has another antenna. So that energy comes, travels, hits the cell phone, and that's where it receives. So there is something, energy actually flows. When you go into these minute particles, where the quantum mechanics or quantum physics works, the life is very different. So I give an example. What happens is, so I'm going to use a metaphor. So I take a projectile or stone, hit it at a window. So the projectile or the stone will shatter the window. And then it may go to the other side, or it may just drop off before it goes to the other side. In the quantum physics world, you would throw a stone, so sometime it will hit the window, and sometime without hitting the window, it'll just appear on the other side. Nobody understands the reason, but this is what actually happens. It's called the tunneling effect. The stone will tunnel through an obstacle, a wall or a window, and go to the other side. So without direct connection, so quantum entanglement is something like this. There is no actual energy that is transmitted and received. It could be transmitted, but it's never received on the other side. But the other side resonates with that energy when you send it out. So, and that is, so you don't have a cause and effect relationship. So when you have an antenna radiating, there's a cause. Antenna is the cause, radiating
Yes.
antenna, and receiving antenna is the effect, right? It receives that energy. But in quantum entanglement, there's no cause and effect relationship, but still the receiver resonates with whatever is being sent from the transmitter. So this is what they call the quantum entanglement.
Well, thank you. That makes much more sense. I was trying to figure out how to explain it. That's a great way of explaining it.
Yeah, I mean, so in the quantum world, nobody understands. Nobody understands how those particles work. Everything is a conjecture. But still, using those conjectures, they can create wonderful devices.
Right. So it's like, but our brains still see some type of cause and effect, because we will start running those frequencies and we will have a physical effect within our bodies. So, how it gets from one place to the other, we don't understand, but we do see the cause and effect.
That's what quantum entanglement really means. In other words, we don't understand how it works, but it works.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so anybody else, any questions, anything you want to share?
Doesn't sound like we have
Yeah, well,
anywhere in.
well, we
I
don't
have
really
a
have.
question.
Yes,
Yeah.
Lainey.
This is Lainey. Does anybody run the latest COVID program continuously for prevention?
I've had some people have run it, continuously for prevention, and then other people have just run, like I have some programs that are recommended that are made specifically for COVID, that you just run once a day. So when the Delta variant was out, we did that quite frequently. I would run myself and my family, like once a month. I do like 3 days worth of just running the COVID programs to clear out whatever may be in there. When the Delta variant was coming around, even though I'm understanding now, I mean, my family had it in February of last year. And so, there's a certain natural immunity there. If that is exactly how COVID works, there's always those questions of whether or not COVID is a virus in the traditional sense of what, we consider, bacteria and viruses and that type of stuff. So you can run it 24/7 and as a preventative measure. I've just because, my 3 ports that I have are kind of at a premium, I have to decide, what I'm going to be running and when. And so if, I've had lots of friends and acquaintances who got COVID. And so then I wouldn't be running it on me. I'll be, running it on them to clear up the program. They came out just today, I think, if you're on the Spooky2 email list, there's a blog post and a video from John White on how long you can anticipate Spooky2 to before you start seeing healing results. And it breaks it down into if it's an acute problem like the flu or COVID or something like that, and you're just using the remote, you can expect about 72 hours, 2 to 3 days before you really start seeing an ease in symptoms and a turnaround. Sometimes I've seen that faster. It's just 24-hour turnaround. With the COVID programs, I think it depends on how much of a viral load you have and how, what your general health was before you got sick. And then it says if you have more chronic problems than acute problems, something that you want to work on, they say about 3 months, I think. I'll have to look at the article again. And then for long-standing problems like Lyme or potentially cancer or some of those type of things, that you may not see a complete turnaround for 6 months before you actually really see a complete, that that you're getting healed up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it depends on the person and it depends on the and on what you have. But the one thing to understand is that when you're talking about frequency healing, it will take, it's going to take time to, let me see, let me look at the article again before I go. But sometimes it can be almost instantaneous. Like, I will say my father-in-law was having post-operative pain in his abdomen, and with contact, and we did a biofeedback scan and then ran those frequencies on contact, and within 20 minutes his pain had subsided and disappeared. So you can get very, very fast results with certain things. With other things like illnesses, you may be looking at longer, because acute to serious. Let's see. They were saying for flu, sore throats, headaches, symptoms like those, often a single 12-hour running duration is enough to ease the conditions, and then allow up to 5 days of continuous running duration to completely reverse the infection that you may have had. And chronic conditions, they're talking about running the Spooky2 generators on remote for about 3 weeks. That's what it was, 3 weeks. And then serious conditions usually require at least 3 months of Rife energy rebalancing sessions. And the most serious conditions will require Rife sessions continuously for up to 6 months. So it's just how serious the condition is, how chronic it is, as to how long you can expect to be doing treatments before you see a complete turnaround in symptoms.
Yeah, I can share my experience. So sometimes my body is very sensitive to cold, and sometimes getting exposure for some reason or the other. And I see the first sign that I see is itching in the throat. So it just feels like, oh, something is coming, something's coming. So this happened, like, I think about 3-4 times. I just go and run a COVID program. And within 24 hours, it's gone. So I just run it. So I know that one works. So
What was the program you ran it on?
in the presets, there is, I think it says top 30 in the presets. It's a COVID-19 and in brackets is top 30.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
one that's the one I normally run. I just let it run, keep continuously. I think it's a 2-hour or something program, but you just let it go. And then it just works. So as soon as the early sign, I see something coming up, I just run it, and then, at least for me, it has worked.
The nice thing about the COVID programs is that if you really dig into the frequencies, you'll find that some of a lot of frequencies that are in the COVID ones are also really good for general colds and flus and that type of stuff too. So even if you don't know what you have, you can run those COVID programs. And, you know, again, if you don't see within 24 hours, if you don't see a reduction in your symptoms in 24 hours, then you might want to shift to a different type of program or a detox program or something to try to get that out of your system. But a lot of times these programs will overlap for other things as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have a question, Cassie?
It was me.
Oh,
I did have a question about running the detox running the detox. Do you, how do you add the frequencies to the detox? Because it has it talks about adding a chain to the terrain detox.
okay. So when you do a chain, you have separate programs, right? You say you have you find and set up well, I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this. Say you set up a program for irritable bowel syndrome, right? And you want to attach that program and run, say, the detox maintenance program, and you want them to go one after another. So you want the irritable bowel syndrome program that you created to run. And then after that one runs once, you want it to run the detox maintenance program for 4 hours and 12 minutes, I think is what that one is. And then you want it to run the irritable bowel syndrome one again, especially if you have like an XM generator and you want to run more than one set of programs, but you don't want to be constantly at your computer constantly shifting those. Then what you could do is you can create a chain program. You can drop down the program, irritable bowel program one, and then you will select another program and put it in as a chain. And you can do that on the main homepage. And so then it will run one program after another. So it's not the same as creating your own program from all of the presets, right? You know how you can set in all those different presets in there and create your own program. This is connecting programs together that will run one after another as a chain.
Got it. Okay. I didn't quite get that.
But you still have
Did you
to
put
save
that
them,
under
right?
an empty?
You do still have to save them as a chain, and there is a save button down at the bottom. So at the top, when you're saving something as a program, you click the little icon that's that green floppy disk, right? And
Yeah.
so now down at the bottom on the left-hand side is another green floppy disk, and that is for saving chains. If you want to save chained programs, and I usually say, R for remote, give the two things that I put in there, two programs that I put in there, and then at the end I say chain, so that I know that that is a chain program.
do you put it under an empty preset and put the both of them under the empty preset, or it's just, you could make that out of that box, and what's in the box that you pressed it and got it into the box underneath the irritable bowel, another one, and then you just run it, or does it have to be under an empty shell?
It does not have to be under an empty shell because the programs are already made. You're just
Okay.
connecting two programs that were already made together. You're just chaining them together one after another. So if you want to, I could show you real quick where that's at on share the screen, and I'll show you where that's at.
I think meanwhile, somebody else had a question as well, I think, or something. Was it Cassie?
Yeah, I did. I downloaded the programs from the cancer clinic, and how do I get them from downloading onto the computer into the Spooky2 software?
Into the
Okay.
Spooky, okay. Let me, since I have
Mhm.
this, do you guys see? Yeah, you guys see this.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah,
do this
yeah.
really quick, and then I will see what I can do about this. Okay, so you have up here, you have all of your basic things. I'm just going to go to user, and I'm going to go to remote, and I have all of these programs that I made. So say I want to do a program for depression, and we will set that down, and here's an arrow here, and it says presets to chain. So I'm going to drop that down there, and then I want to chain that to my anxiety program, and then I'm going to set that there, and I'm going to set this. So those two programs are in there now. And then if you want to save this chain, you just hit save currently loaded presets to a preset chain. And you will hit the save button for that one, and it will bring this up, and you can type in the file name for where you want it, save it as normal, and then you will have those two programs chained together. So this is where the presets, these are where you put your presets that are all set up, and you can put them into chains down here. So you were saying that you were having issues getting what loaded? I'm sorry.
Well, I was following you with the cancer clinic, and I downloaded the new COVID-19 preset. And
okay, so you have the COVID-19. So I'll walk through this one. So when you download the COVID-19 presets, you click on it, it's going to dump it down here on the base of your computer.
okay.
And so you're going to want to click on the arrow so that it gives you either open or show in folder.
Okay.
Okay, so you just open it, and then it will come up with this question. And this, do you want this app to allow this app to make changes to your device? And you would say yes. And then it'll walk you through all the rest of that. Now, if you have not, if you didn't hit open, you can also show in folder. And then it will pop up with this one where it was downloaded at. Okay.
Right.
And so if you want to, you can right click on that one, and you can do open.
Well,
And
another
if you
thing,
do open, and it will,
just double click on it and it'll just run. You don't even
Yeah.
have to say, oh, yeah.
yeah, you don't even have to say, okay, if you double click on it. I was just about to say
Yeah.
that that's the second option that you can do.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I usually do, but sometimes people don't see the double click when
Yeah, I
you're
know. Yeah,
when you're
exactly.
trying to do it on a shared screen, and people are like, wait, what did you do? Okay.
Yeah.
So so are
Yeah,
you,
So I'm there, and it says, okay, welcome to the Spooky2 COVID-19 preset setup program. This program will install on your computer. Okay.
yes.
And then the destination I have is C Drive Spooky2.
Yes.
And that's it.
And then you just follow the steps where it will say, will say, prompt you to do next. And then you just keep doing the next until it says finish. And then you click on finish and it should take care of it.
Oh, okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anybody else? I think we've completed an hour today. Good discussion. And we will meet next week, right? Same
All
time?
right. Sounds good. And if any of you have any questions, we'll be sending, when we send out the emails or stuff, feel free to, if you have anything specific that you want to discuss on the next, next meeting or anything, feel free to just email us and let us know some things that questions that you have. And then we'll just kind of keep track of them in case, and then try to address those in the next class.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Are there any other meetings that I could get on a list for other than this Tuesday meeting? And then there's one on Sunday?
We do have a regular Wednesday meeting at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's the Sacred Truths group. And we have, we regularly have speakers that come in talking about different topics of alternative health and finance and legal stuff that you can do. We also have, on those days that we don't have special speakers, we have spirituality discussions on given topics where everybody can, discuss and throw out their ideas and have just a great discussion for an hour on some kind of topic to see differing views on things. So we have that one. We have the Monday PIDA Login practice session, which is an hour-long practice session where people get together, and Sri knows more about that. I'm not sure.
That's the most popular session that we have. A bunch of people show up because they actually want to practice and see difference in their body. So that's what happens. Yeah. So anybody, any interest in any of these things, send me an email and we'll put you on the
I'd like to
list.
be informed when they are and be on the list. I appreciate that for those other
Sure.
meetings.
Okay, I'll send you.
Thank you.
So Lenny, I will send it to you.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate everything today.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody then.
So it's good. So good to see you guys, and we will see you next week then.